Bandwidth for today's show is brought to you by SoftLayer.com. We love SoftLayer here at Talkapolis. They are the greatest hosting company ever. They make everything easy. Check out their website at SoftLayer.com. Thanks again for sponsoring the show.
Talkapolis, the social media TV network for your city.
Hi, thanks for joining us again on Nashville Fitness and Beauty Roundup. Joining us here today are Josh Willhite and Mindy Johnson. They're both personal trainers in Nashville. Actually, you're in Nashville and Hendersonville,
Correct.
Josh?
Yep.
And Mindy, you're actually in the East Nashville.
Correct.
As well as Nashville. Yes. So you make that trek. Where are you working out of, Mindy, primarily, with your clients?
I work two places, Gym 5 out of East Nashville, and also I am traveling down to Franklin a couple of evenings a week. I have some clients down there and training at Sweat Franklin.
Oh, great. I like Sweat. Yeah, I like Mandy down there. She's great.
They're great.
Josh, where are you?
I train primarily in Hendersonville at, there's a family ministry center. It's attached to the First Baptist Church of Hendersonville. Oh. I'm one of about a dozen different trainers down there. And then also at PhysioFit in Green Hills in Nashville too. So.
Oh, great. With Brandy.
Yeah.
We
Yes,
had her
Brandy Binkley.
a few weeks ago. Great. Well, we're discussing age-related hindrances, if you want to call them, to fitness or weight loss. As we all know, it's a little tougher as we get older. We're not 20 anymore, and we don't just bounce back. I know I've found, like, as I got older, my warm-up got a little bit longer with each work. Each year it seems like I have to warm up a lot more to prevent injury. And so I know that's part of age, just stiffening up. Our first question, really, from a viewer is regarding to weight loss, and because of hormones with age and stuff, and that affects not just women but men as well. Our testosterone drops. So, would you say that weight loss would be limited because of age, or we know muscle growth can be affected, but weight loss itself? What would you think, Josh? Was your first?
I think when you're talking about weight loss, but you're also talking about muscle growth, I think the two are kind of interrelated, simply because it takes more calories to sustain muscle than it does to sustain fat.
Right.
And when you start losing that lean muscle mass, after age 30 or 35, you start losing. It's a small percentage, but it's like 1.5% to 2% every year or so. If you don't work to maintain to keep that up, well then obviously, weight loss is going to be a lot harder simply because you're accruing more, more adipose tissue, more fat tissue. So.
Gotcha.
I think it's just a little bit more difficult to try to keep the weight off. But as long as you work, those early years and you try to gain as much lean mass as possible, it's a little bit easier to maintain than it is to try to start up at that point in time at 35, 40, 45 years old. So the older you get, if you try to start training or try to start some kind of resistance training regimen at that point in time, I think it's a little bit more difficult than it would have been if you'd started at 15, 20 years old and try to maintain throughout. So,
okay, so the difficulty of muscle tension actually has some effect on
sure,
on the weight
absolutely.
loss. Mindy, what have you found with your clients as far as
Well, I found
weight
that,
loss?
nutrition is really critical. As long as you can, yes, weight loss does get more difficult as you get older, that metabolism slows down, but you can really make it work in your favor by really staying on top of your nutrition, eating balanced meals, eating whole foods, not eating a lot of processed foods,
Right.
Staying on regular eating schedule, every 3-4 hours, small meals.
So the same discipline applies.
Yes.
And it's effective. It's just not as maybe easy.
Sure.
Yes. You don't see it as quickly.
You don't see it as quickly.
Whereas when you're young, changes, especially I find in men, right, when they make a change, they can see it immediately.
Yeah.
But, we women, and especially as you get older, it just takes longer to see those results of the work that you do put in.
Right.
That's why you have to stay steady.
Yeah, that does help to stay consistent. When you let off, I've noticed it takes a little longer to get back to where you were before
Absolutely.
you stopped.
I would say you can rebound a lot easier when you're younger, making foolish mistakes in terms of your diet, nutrition, and so forth.
Yeah.
Whereas when you get a little bit older, those mistakes start catching up with you a lot sooner, and it takes a lot longer to rebound back to where you were when you before I guess you made that error in
the break.
Diet and nutrition. Yeah.
So a lot of that's related to recovery, obviously,
Sure.
which is really what fitness training is all about, is a recovery and improvement. So what are ways that people, as they get older, let's say over 40, how can we improve recovery? What do we look out for with recovery? What are we trying to keep in our lifestyle to aid our recovery? What do you think?
Well, I think you're always looking to maintain your functionality for living a great life, being active, feeling good about yourself, feeling healthy. And I think there's some great to change up your training a little bit as you get older, incorporating some more gentle disciplines, maybe try yoga, Pilates, things that focus on strengthening, stability,
Absolutely.
flexibility, any kind of functional training. Maintaining the weightlifting and strength training is also very critical. And then, you don't have to go as hardcore as you might when you were younger. You can, walking, a lot of gentler things are very, very effective.
So some days where a little bit lighter workout instead of trying to do
Absolutely.
5 or 6 killer workouts, maybe throwing a few lighter workouts. What about, I noticed if I don't get enough sleep, I mean, in my 20s, if I didn't get enough sleep, it was like, yeah, okay, I can go a day or two like that. But now it's like a train hit me. I mean, so it's sleep is more important as you get older?
I mean, it's probably equally important. I mean, throughout, you just probably, again, I kind of go back to the rebounding a little bit faster when you're younger. I think, you can pull all-nighters and you can catch up on the weekends. And then when you get a little bit older, you get a little bit more, experience under your belt. It's a little bit harder to rebound from that shift in your schedule. So whether that's, a poor nutrition decision or, lack of rest or going too hard in the gym and trying to recover, that lactic acid kind of stays with you for a little bit longer than it did when you were a little bit younger.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay. But then yet the benefits obviously are worth that struggle. I would think. So benefits as we get older, other than just, that it changes from a focus of ripped abs, chiseled shoulders and, quads of steel. It's like, your desires change, what you want, what you're worried about as far as your health is concerned changes.
Sure, yeah. Because you figure an injury at 18, 20 years old will set you off, maybe 6, 7 months. You can probably rebound back a little bit sooner. Whereas an injury, of that same magnitude at age 45 or 50 or, 40 or 45, it'll derail you probably, for a lot longer. I know people, some of my clients who used to run and they'd suffer from plantar fasciitis or runner's knee or whatever the case was, and they'd rebound back, a lot quicker when they were younger. And now they're just pretty much confined to like an elliptical or like a recumbent bike just because they can't do the impact anymore. So it was a stress fracture in their foot or whatever that when they were 20 or 25 years old, they could have rebounded from in a matter of weeks or months. But then when that age kind of catches up with you, they kind of err on the side of caution and go, well, I probably still could do the impact related stuff, but I know it would take a lot more out of me if I sustained some kind of injury than it did when I was younger. So yeah. Absolutely.
And you had mentioned muscle retention. I mean, what other benefits to working out as you get older? I mean, I've heard, bone density is a big one.
Yes, very important, especially for women, is continuing that strength training so that your bones get strong and maintain their strength, because women do start to lose bone density and lose calcium. So again, diet, exercise is going to help that. Right. And then also, I think as you get older, your focus shifts. I mean, I have clients that they don't want to pick up their grandchildren and throw their back out. So you want to stay strong just to enjoy your life.
Right. So you actually can move and enjoy the last years. I've even heard of benefits to brain function and
Absolutely.
Preventing Alzheimer's, which is amazing.
Yes.
So with strength training too, primarily to strength training, to weightlifting. So that's a great benefit. So obviously, get a personal trainer as you get older. If you're not sure about it, it's better to get the training and the wisdom than to risk injury, risk a setback as you get older, and if you're not quite sure what to do there.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, having a trainer, it's not for everyone, but if you don't know what to do, if you walk into a weight room and are like, I don't feel comfortable. A lot of women get that way. They aren't comfortable around weights, but it's having someone to connect with that can show you around and help you get comfortable so that you can walk in there with confidence. That's going to help you want to go in and want to exercise.
Yeah, I find that typically clients, when they seek out a personal trainer, it's because they lack either one of two things or both. Either lack the motivation or they lack the knowledge. And the ones who lack the knowledge, all they're looking for is what I try to tell people is I always try to tell my clients, I say, if you want to continue training year after year and you have different goals you want to shoot for, I'd be more than happy to help you and facilitate you along the way. But my goal is to basically give you the knowledge so that if you have the motivation to come in here and do things on your own, you can. I've trained clients before that I'm shocked when they come to me and they say, no, I've had a personal trainer before, I've had one for 6 or 7 years, and this is what we were working on. I'll say, okay. I'll say, well, what were you squatting when you left your other trainer? Well, I don't know, he just put the weight on the bar and what were you deadlifting? Well, I don't know, I was just, and they tell me, well, we just used the big black weights. And I was like, well, that's great, but if you don't know exactly, numerically or quantitatively what you're lifting or what you're doing, how many sets, how many repetitions, the reason why you're resting as long as you are in between sets and so forth, if you don't know that, then and you can't apply it on your own. So I always tell people if you want the knowledge, I'll give you the knowledge. If you'd rather just have someone kind of motivate you, I'm there for that reason too. But again, it's just either it's a personal training is either for those who either need knowledge or motivation or both. But
Right.
yeah.
Great. Well, thank you guys.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Well, that does it for this segment of Nashville Health and Beauty Roundup. But please check back with us. We have Josh and Mindy back for a few more questions on exercising in the heat, which we're all dreading, and weight loss. So please check back, and we'll see you then.